The Bitcoin halving is only 8 days away. Are we going to see a pullback or a rally into the halving? We're going to discuss that. Peter Schiff was on PBD podcast yesterday, and wait till you hear what he had to say about Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy and how it's going to go bankrupt. Also, a real estate giant, a multimillionaire, makes headlines as he is selling his $44 million house only for BTC. We're going to discuss that. Also, big waves in South Korea. Is it going to bring an inflow of massive money and buying of the Bitcoin ETF here in the United States? Ubisoft comes out with their first game. Could this be a game changer for blockchain gaming? We have that, and also an update from Chainlink as their CCIP protocol and functions goes live on base layer 2 on Ethereum. We have that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's get it. Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, and, well, what other channels give you, stale information, and we repackage that turkey up in a fun and sexy Vegas kind of way. I saw Bitcoin.
Speaking of Vegas,
I saw Bitcoin cross 70,000. Are we back? That's my bullhorns, bro.
we also have Gravy Train joining us today. Miss Gravy, how are you? Are you in timeout?
I mean, I'm in the corner.
Oh, Ash.
No, Ashley.
Image.
Sorry, Ashley. Yeah, we don't want to. Never mind. Whatever I say was not going to land well, whether it was meant to be a compliment or not. Anyways, Rob, you mentioned Vegas. Is it true what I hear? One of the projects that we believe is going to do big things. Are they in Vegas?
The Phantom Foundation is in Las Vegas. And so,
Andre, if you're watching.
let's see here. So, yeah, they're right here at the stadium.
Bro.
And this was,
Guys, by the way, that stadium, show the picture of the stadium real quick. Click on it. Guys, we're 3 minutes from here.
Yeah.
You can walk from here. Guys, if you're watching, I don't know your names. Gentlemen, we'd love to have you here.
also, so I just messaged them and say, hey, Phantom, stop by our studio. We are 2 blocks away.
Do us a favor, guys.
You
Do
can
us a
walk
favor.
here. You can walk here.
Do us a favor. Go on X, like that, and then throw a comment or repost that. We want those guys in here. We want them in here. Let's make it happen.
They're across the street. They were there an hour
You know
ago.
what? Should we just stop the show and go down there?
Let's go down there. Yeah.
You know what, Ashley?
They might be here at this Google Cloud show.
That's probably. Wow, no way, because they took a picture in front of it. That's probably what they're doing. Detective Robin.
What convention is this? How come we're not here?
Well, because we have a show to run. All right. Let's talk about the Bitcoin halving. 8 days, 23 hours, 53 minutes, and 35 seconds. April 20th. How it warms my heart to see April 20th. 420 being the day of the halving. To Mr. Satoshi, good job, man. Good job. I'm sure he knew this was going to happen 14 years ago.
You knew the halving was going to happen?
No, like on the 14th.
Wow.
On 420.
He is on 420?
Yeah. Okay, so there's some people who believe that we're going to see a buy the rumor style sell the news event, right? Where we have people selling into the halving or people buying into the halving. Well, Arthur Hayes believes we're going to see a raging fire sale going into the halving, and he said, quote, why I believe Bitcoin and crypto prices in general will slump around the halving. It will add propellant to a raging fire sale of crypto assets. What side do you land on, Robin? Are you on the side of we see a rally going into the halving, or do you think we're going to see a sell-off going into the halving?
We're going to see a rally going into the halving, and it's only a week away, but I don't say this without any evidence to back it up. I have the evidence right here. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust withdrawals hits
record low. The selling has stopped. This has been what has suppressed the price as of recently. And so there it is. That's all we were waiting for was the selling to stop from Grayscale.
Wow. So what's you say we're going to see a rally?
I very confident that we see a rally.
Okay. You shared that. I actually have something similar, but a little more context there. I do want to share this. So yesterday, our ETF flows. Big thank you to Satoshi Stacker on X as he tweeted this. So yesterday we saw net inflows of $123.7 million, but I would like you to take a look at this number, the lowest we've seen in outflows from Grayscale, I believe ever, right?
The bleeding has stopped.
They got a Band-Aid and
it is since the ETF has went live, it is the lowest amount that we've seen exit Grayscale. So is it just a quick pause, a brief relief? I think not. I think that at this point,
brief relief.
I think at this point, what we're seeing is that the people that are looking to get a lower fee from competitors in the ETF space already moved. I think that the forced selling from bankruptcy has already happened for the companies and former exchanges that have went under that had their assets on Grayscale. They are sold. And so now, what is left? So long-term hodler that doesn't want to take a capital gains hit and realize that 24% capital gains tax by selling, they'll just say, hey, you know what? What's 1.2% annual percentage compared to a 24% sale?
1.5%.
No, but I'm saying if you were to go to the competitor like BlackRock,
saving
0.3.
Correct.
Yeah, so you're at 0.3. So really you're saving 1.2% annually. And then on top of that, there's no guarantee that BlackRock eventually won't raise the rate, right? So think about it this way. You sell now, you move into BlackRock. 3 years from now, so you take the capital gains hit and say 3 years from now, BlackRock's at a 1.5% or 1% or 0.75%. No guarantees that they're locked in there. And I know some of these ETFs have time limits on their rates, right? Where they're saying, hey, we're going to do 0 for X amount of time. So I don't know. I think it's, if you have a big amount of money in retirement, say you're 5 years out, you know what? It's probably not worth selling to the capital gains hit. So anyways, long story short, Grayscale selling over. We are go for launch on $80,000 Bitcoin before the halving, 8 days away. Thank you.
Wow. Now, before I go over what Michael Sonnenschein, the CEO of Grayscale, said, I would like to tell you what I said about our channel sponsor, Legacy Network. Today's show is partly brought to you by Legacy Network. Legacy is bridging gamify and making money and personal development all in one, creating a beautiful app for you to be able to better yourself, to learn about, take for instance, time management, and how to make money as a business owner and entrepreneur, and also make money on the back end as well, all in a fun and exciting way. So we're proud to have Legacy Network partner with us. Definitely recommend you go jump into their Telegram so you can stay up to date on when the app goes live, so you can be one of the first to download and use it. Now, Rob mentioned Grayscale's over. Well, Michael Sonnenschein, the CEO of Grayscale, said, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Michael Sonnenschein, CEO of Grayscale, suggested that outflows from the GBTC may be reaching a balance after months of investor sell-offs. He believes the fund is starting to reach a state of equilibrium with expected outflows from bankruptcy sales and swap transactions largely behind them. Some of this outflow was due to bankruptcy settlements of FTX and other failed crypto companies, as well as investors who sold the Grayscale ETF product directly or immediately buying another company. Many crypto companies that filed for bankruptcy in 22 and 23 had shares of Grayscale. Grayscale's then trust on their balance sheet, and they wanted to sell those shares when the product turned into an ETF to repay their creditors. Going forward, he emphasized the importance of bringing more investors into the ecosystem and continuing to innovate on the product front.
That is all what I just said. I said all of it.
Not really.
What part did I not say?
You're not the CEO of Grayscale, Robin.
I am the CEO of Sin City Crypto,
Well, anyways,
co-CEO.
anyways, so interesting comment here, right? Where they emphasize the importance of bringing more investors into the ecosystem. Do they have any chance, Robin, of onboarding new people with 1.5%?
Absolutely not. Zero chance.
So do you think this number go down? It has to. Right?
It will over time. I
What-
think that they gradually.
What would happen? Okay, imagine this. Let me paint a scenario for you here, okay? We have all these inflows. Let's say next week, Grayscale brings their fee down 0.25%.
To 1.25?
From 1.5 to 0.25.
All the way down?
All the way down. No,
They,
I'm just
they have a
we're
business
playing
model.
hypothetical here. Hypothetically speaking,
But then
let's say, hold
why
on.
would anyone take a capital gains hit again to
But-
move back into it?
But what they're saying is that whole thing is done, right? Saying we're reaching equilibrium and now we're trying to bring new users on the platform. That's what he's saying, right? So my hypothetical scenario here is this. Let's say next week, right? What we read in this article is true. Grayscale is looking to onboard new users. And they bring their fee down to be in line or at least competitive with their competitors like BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK. What kind of take away the outflows from Grayscale and maybe add in some inflows?
Here's the thing, is that Grayscale had a product that people were familiar with that were in the crypto circle. And at the end of the day, we're not going to see the traditional investor identify Grayscale as a product that they know and recognize. That's Fidelity. That's BlackRock. That's a few other players. Now, Grayscale might be familiar to our circles, but they're going to go to a product from a asset manager that they know. And so it's those names. Now, Grayscale got its notoriety for offering these products back when there was no other, and back in 2013 when there were no other alternatives.
So your thesis is no one really knows Grayscale in comparison to BlackRock and Fidelity, so no one's going to dump money in there.
People in the crypto circles do, yes. And so if you're in the crypto circles, you're a degen, you're not buying the corporate product. You're not buying it on Wall Street. And so you're buying it on an exchange. And then if you are if you're outside of that circle, if you're not quite as familiar with the exchanges, you want to go and purchase through Wall Street, more than likely you're not a savvy Bitcoin investor and understand the history of who has held what. You're just going to look at the providers and say, oh, I know this one. I know this one. BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK, and a handful of others.
Grayscale's whole thesis of why people would invest in them is we're the longest tenured ETF issuer. We're not Bitcoin tourists. And also, they've safely been able to custody and oversee over 620,000 Bitcoin for almost not a decade, but close enough, right? So that is their thesis of why you should go with Grayscale. Obviously, now no one's going to go with them because it's 1.5%. But who knows? We're not here to speculate on whether people are going to buy into that.
It's a nice thesis, but the thing is they're keeping the 1.5 because they've built their entire business model off of gaining a custodial percentage, which was 2% previously before it converted over to ETF. So their business model was 100% around, hey, 2% annual. That's what we get off the top for us custodying your Bitcoin. That's the cost of doing business. And then the new products come out. If they go all the way down to 0.25, like you said, they can't stay afloat. The whole business collapses, right? They're going to lay everyone off. Now, that I'm sure that is kind of happening. They're obviously losing revenue. They've lost half the Bitcoin that they custodied before. But we know that there are going to be individuals that do not want to take the capital gains hit, or maybe they just don't believe in BlackRock and they don't have any intention on selling. And if that's the case, then I don't see anything. I don't see any problem with the business model they have. Keep the customers they have. You know they're going to stay there. Keep the percentages there so your business can stay afloat. And realistically, you're probably not going to bring any new customers. And as the price of Bitcoin goes up, so does your revenue today because it's a percentage. 1.5% of Bitcoin at 30,000, 1.5% of Bitcoin at 300,000. Obviously, you're making 10x the returns, even for an institution that isn't physically owning it, but just helping custody.
Rocco, can you cut to Ashley's camera real quick?
Why?
He's trying to get us canceled, saying we stuck her in a corner facing a wall. That is not true. She is not facing a corner. She has a coffee that we bought her. She has a Capri Sun that we bought her. Guys, don't listen to her. She's trying to get us
I'm
canceled.
literally in timeout right now.
You're not in timeout.
Why am I so white? What's
We
going
are
on?
doing
A
renovations.
little overexposed there.
I'm a little white, little ghosty.
Ghosty.
Yeah, we're still-
Ghost is a really good energy drink, actually. Anyways,
There you go.
you know, Robin, I mentioned this was last month. I mentioned that once the Q1 filings come out, we're going to find out who the hell has been buying these ETFs, right? Well, there's been some banks buying the ETFs. Not any ones you probably heard of, because I haven't. Here we go. So, Lex Aurum Advisors has 11,900 shares of the BlackRock ETF. Founders Capital has 261. So on the left, assets under management, that is not how much Bitcoin they hold, but that is how much assets under management that their bank and company has. So the biggest one I'm seeing here is Park Avenue with 9.9 billion in assets under management. And look at this, Robin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these banks bought the GBTC one. Right?
I'm not familiar with any.
I'm not either. But I mean,
So it looks more like smaller banks.
this bank has $10 billion in assets. I've never heard of it. But still, American National Bank, Gunderson, no idea. Johnson and White Wealth Management, great
So
name.
this is more or less in place of what a bank would traditionally hold, would be like gold or something of that nature, right? Or even bonds, I guess. Diversified portfolio of holdings would be my expectation. I think that the stigma between Bitcoin and banks, I think, is still something that's very prevalent, and so I don't see any big names there. So smaller banks that kind of fly under the radar, perhaps, or aren't under scrutiny from the U.S. government, can hold Bitcoin. Interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm very curious when the legislation gives the green light for banks to custody Bitcoin for their.
Well, the banks are
customers.
fighting. The banks are fighting the SEC and the Fed right now. Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. So this was this dropped right before we came on the show. TD Bank releases a commercial explaining the halving. So this was pretty interesting. Let's watch it.
In early 2024, Bitcoin's price reached new all-time highs. But what's the cause? Well, Bitcoin's price is determined by demand and supply, just like a stock. If there's more demand from buyers than supply from sellers, the price goes up. But if the opposite is true, the price goes down. And recently, the new US spot Bitcoin ETFs have increased demand significantly, but there hasn't been a significant increase in supply. In fact, there's another event happening in April of 2024 that will reduce the supply of new Bitcoin entering the market. It's called Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin was designed so only 21 million coins can be created. But instead of flooding the market with all the coins at once, a supply of new coins is slowly released into the market every day. As the name suggests, halving cuts the supply of new coins in half roughly every 4 years. This will continue until around May of 2140, when all 21 million Bitcoin will be on the open market. So how has the price of Bitcoin behaved after the previous halving events? Well, following each halving, prices climbed up significantly. Although history suggests that Bitcoin's price is ready for more new highs in 2024, it's not a guarantee. There are other factors that could greatly impact demand and supply, which ultimately determine Bitcoin's price. For more information about investing in Bitcoin with TD through ETFs, watch our video. And to open an
So this is a bank, a asset manager, a company that has millions of users with trillions of dollars that they manage and oversee. So pretty interesting. Any comments there?
And TD has ETF.
No, they don't have their own ETF. No.
Interesting.
Fidelity.
And so, but their name wasn't on any list So their customers, I'm sure, are able to buy Bitcoin through the ETF, right? The same way that Vanguard's not.
Correct.
And so this is
It's just interesting to
information.
see these big asset managers and banks and companies start to educate people and put out content like this. So,
This has to be a clear indication that banks want to offer crypto services, right? Because right now there's only one that essentially has the green light, and it's the ETF. And you have the biggest banks in the world coming out with commercials explaining the halving for their customers that are probably coming in, having a meeting with their financial advisor and saying, hey, I want Bitcoin. What's this halving thing? And so we're not far away. We're not far away from banks offering crypto services, perhaps stable coins moving through banks instead of on exchanges. It'll be very interesting when we look forward to the next president. And I think that we have a change in the SEC chair position and perhaps a new president. If we get one, get a new president, perhaps they'll be a little bit more lenient on regulation, or a little more progressive on regulation when it comes to crypto, especially if you've made a ton of money in crypto in the last couple of years as a presidential candidate.
well, I mean, I was just going to say, if Trump gets in office, he's not going to let a SEC commissioner come in and try to thwart crypto. Well, because he's got a crypto portfolio and his Trump coin is worth like $5-6 million. And so, not now. Okay. So I mentioned a real estate titan. Grant Cardone has listed his beachfront mansion he bought from Tommy Hilfiger, and he's only selling it for BTC, 646 Bitcoin, valued at around $44 million. So big shout out to Gary Cardone, his twin brother, for orange pilling Grant. So Grant, love him or hate him, he's got a pretty big voice in investment, entrepreneurship, and of course in real estate. A lot of talk about Bitcoin, Satoshi. Did you see that new meme coin on Solana, Robin?
Very nice.
Satoshi Nakamasala.
Honestly, this is a developing trend.
We saw yesterday Vitalik Butter Chicken. Can they make a Charles one? Charles Husks, that'll be funny.
What is the name of that one going to be?
Give me some time.
Give me some time.
Is that the guy who drank a smoothie after his coffee, like back to back?
Yeah, the guy that was on our show. Yes, founder of Cardano. Yes.
Yeah, Charles. Yeah, that was a good question. Actually, that was pretty funny. All right, let's talk about Mr. Peter Schiff. I did mention he was on the PBD podcast talking about how Michael Saylor is going to bankrupt his company. Listen to what he had to say.
BlackRock, they're fools.
This is a blockchain letter, like a chain letter, only with a blockchain. It's a digital Ponzi or a pyramid. Do I think Michael Saylor is foolish? I don't know, why Michael Saylor does what he does. I mean, obviously, he levered up his balance sheet to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. He'd been selling his own shares in MicroStrategy stock, which obviously they did go way up because of this position he's taken. I mean, ultimately, I think MicroStrategy goes bankrupt. I mean, I think that's how.
You think so?
Yeah, I think eventually the Bitcoin is going to crash and the creditors are going to end up with the company. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen at the end of the day. And
BlackRock, they're.
Do you think there's anything that would change his mind? He was on the.
Here's the thing: is that this man's thesis is 100% correct, and before you fire back, it is 100% correct. He is taking a massive leverage position, borrowing to buy Bitcoin, and if he gets margin called and the price of Bitcoin crashes, then yes, the creditors will be paid in a bankruptcy court or in some form or fashion. You still got to pay your debts. But with that said, that is only if Bitcoin crashes to a certain level that will force MicroStrategy to be margin called and have to sell everything, and especially at a loss. What would that price be? I know previously in 2021, late 2021, early 2022, when there were talks of MicroStrategy getting margin called, and then he dismissed it comically, and he mentioned something like the price of Bitcoin would have to go down to $8,000 for them to be in some kind of situation. So is that number still 8,000? Probably not. It's probably something a little higher, but with the fair market value of Bitcoin, with the network gaining more steam and more adoption, the likelihood of Bitcoin going to $10,000, $8,000, $12,000, it's not
said it's
realistic. What's up?
You've said it's zero.
Zero what?
You've said we've never go under, I think you said
Yeah,
30K.
there's always some form or there's always some chance, right? And we've had exploits or we've had issues with the Bitcoin network. It's been over 11 years since the Bitcoin network has had any issue. There was in 2013, I don't remember the exact details, but somebody had sent, I think it was 100 million Bitcoin, right? They had created Bitcoin out of thin air and sent a transaction and got validated. And so could something like that happen? I suppose. Could there be some kind of upgrade to the Bitcoin network? So I don't want to say it's 100% not at all possible, but I think the percentage, the fraction, it's a fraction of a percent for me. I think that the Bitcoin network has stood the test of time. There's been ample time for people to attack the network, try to compromise and steal from it, gain the network. And that hasn't happened, or at least not in the last 11 years. And so as time moves on and as the value of Bitcoin keeps going up, the incentive to take over the network keeps growing, right? If you spent millions of dollars to hack Bitcoin in the very earliest days, then the Bitcoin wasn't worth much. It wasn't worth what you were hacking, right? But now at this point, the bounty for stealing thousands of Bitcoin is billions of dollars. And obviously that hasn't happened. So the network is proven because of its value that
It's too expensive.
it's no way you can do it, right? The bounty's there, right? The incentive is there. If you could steal 1,000 Bitcoin and spend $1 million doing it, you know that it would pay off, right? But the thing is it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened in 11 years. So every hacker, every person with a computer has had an opportunity to do it, and they can't.
We're talking about hacking the actual network?
Yeah.
It would take a lot more than $1 million.
No, I'm not even saying that like price. I'm just saying that like think of all the hackers in the world, all thousands of them, tens of thousands of savvy computer experts that know how to take advantage of protocols. None of them have successfully attacked the Bitcoin. And you think that they haven't tried? And so that's what time does. That's why when a new project comes out and it's a year old, we're like, hey, man, be careful. You might have some bridge hacks because it hasn't been tested. You haven't had the multitude of hackers globally trying to game the system. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there with computer skills that have tried to game the system for Bitcoin, but they've quickly realized, hey, this can't do it. And so that's what time does. Time is essentially security. It's a proven track record.
Size is security.
And that as well. I mean, there's a lot that goes into securing it. But what I'm saying,
Here's the thing. As Bitcoin's hash rate and difficulty grows, it'll be unfeasible to hack the Bitcoin network on protocol level and to do a 51% attack.
Yeah, that style of hack is taking over the miners influencing the development of the chain. But what I'm saying is that what we saw before in 2013 wasn't a takeover 51% attack. What it was someone compromised the code. And so where I'm saying is that could something like that pop up again? Sure, maybe. But how likely is it that hasn't been discovered yet? I mean, remember Ethereum back in, I think it was 2019, had an exploit that wasn't found and was patched. And the Ethereum Foundation came out and said, hey, this one would have took down the network. And it didn't. They patched it. Nobody found it, though. But if they didn't patch it and Ethereum would have went out another 5 years, maybe somebody would have found it by then. That's what I'm saying, is that time is a test to security, or at least it's a track record, right?
So you're
And
saying
then
Bitcoin's gonna hack?
and then here, you mentioned the Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining difficulty hits all-time high just 1 week before the halving. So, yeah. So just to wrap up our conversation, I know I kind of got off track there, but is it possible that MicroStrategy gets margin called if the price of Bitcoin drops low enough? Sure. Is it at all? Is it likely? Absolutely not. Is it a very, very small percentage chance that can happen? I mean, it's realistic. I mean, it's something that's on the table, but I don't think it's anything that's going to happen. I would say it's less than 1% chance. But just like anyone else that borrows, there is a liquidation point, right? They're borrowing money to buy Bitcoin. And at some point, if the price of Bitcoin keeps crashing, at some point they have to sell. They're forced to sell at some point.
Well, if you look at a chart of MicroStrategy's buys, there's one sell, and that was to provide more collateral as the price of Bitcoin was sinking when they took that loan from Silvergate. So,
but the thing is that Peter Schiff just doesn't believe in Bitcoin because it's not tangible, and he wants a tangible, and that's something that's very important to people. They just can't understand.
So I'm going to answer my own question. I said, what would change his mind? He said this on Impact Theory. He had a little debate with Raoul Paul. He said if Bitcoin it becomes legal tender, essentially. If people start using Bitcoin to buy things, sure, I'll believe in it. He says now it's just vaporware. All right, with that being said, I'm going to throw it over to Rob to butcher some names and go over the markets here. Robin.
All right, so real quick, I do want to give a shout out to any of you that are new. We have R Inquisit Minds, also yes sir, who says I'm rambling and on Adderall, and then we also have Fart Art Channel and Michael Hall.
You say Fart Channel?
No, Far Art.
Oh, for art.
Far Art. See what you did there.
Yeah.
But to all of you, hola, welcome to Sin City Crypto. And then taking a look at
you just say fart, art, butt.
Missed the butt part. Yeah. All right. So Bitcoin over $70,000. Here we go. Over 70,000. This 71.5. It's a pesky little bugger, man. But you can see here over the last week, been on both sides of the 70K mark. And when will we break out? Well, we've been waiting for this Grayscale selling to subside, as we discussed earlier in the show. That has happened. And then also taking a look at some of the biggest movers.
Don't forget, Robin, Hong Kong just...
did it get approved?
Yeah. Should be trading either next week or...
BitSensor. Bittensor.
What is wrong with this guy?
BitTensor.
Perfect. Good job, Robin.
Ticker Tau. $641. Now
it had a wick up to $1,000 on Binance.
Did it?
Yeah.
Also, some of the other big movers. So Tau is up 15%. Shut it. We have Neo up 13, just on the 24 hours, but Neo is up 44%. This has been
What is Neo? Do you know Neo?
This has been around for quite some time. I remember doing
supposed to be
research.
the Ethereum killer. That's what they call
I was doing
back in the
research
day.
on this a while ago, but look, this has been out since 2017. This had a very, very strong performance back in the 2017 run up, 2018. Got all the way up to $168 here. Underperformed expectations last bull market, though. Didn't see the rise that some of the previous. A lot of people compared it to what Ethereum was going to do. We saw Ethereum get down to $100, and then we know what happened there. It moved up to 4,000. Was that the top?
Yeah, for like 4,800.
4,800. So we saw Ethereum go from $100 to $4,800 from cycle bottom to top. Didn't get that from Neo last cycle. It kind of was forgotten about, but don't know, maybe something to keep an eye out. Not sure. But taking a look back at the altcoins, we also have, I'm going to take a look at some of the losers here. Phantom down 5%.
Because they haven't come to the studio.
That's it. Uniswap down 13%.
Wow. Thank you, SEC, for protecting the investors.
Obviously, we know what that's about. And stay tuned because today we do have a video coming out on Uniswap and the SEC. So if you want a little more insight on this, make sure you tune into that. It'll be live shortly after the show. And then you have Nervos Network, something I'm not familiar
CKB. I held a little bit of CKB, Voyager, back in the day. But yeah. I do want to go over a Bitcoin chart. So this is BTC on the 4-hour. We should see a pretty big move. So this is a symmetrical triangle with the exception of one move above it. We came right back down, tested the lower bound of this triangle. And currently, as recent as 8 hours ago, we did bump up against this, got rejected, and we're printing a spinning top. So there's a lot of indecision in the market. And if we hide this and we take a look at the Bollinger Bands, you can see here that these bands are starting to constrict, which tells us that, again, same analogy, slingshot, right? This thing is getting pulled back. And so once it's let go, it's going to have a big break. Now, is it going to move to the upside or downside? We believe that if the GBTC selling continues to dampen or completely go away, like Michael Sonnenschein is saying, we believe this could be a big move to the upside. We also have some news from South Korea that we're going to go over, and how their citizens are going to be able to tap into the U.S. Bitcoin ETF markets. So that could be another potential massive catalyst. And then I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to throw on my Lux Algo indicator here. The price action concepts, which gives us a beautiful overview of, hey, what is happening around what prices. So we did have a break of structure on the 4-hour, which is typically positive, but we did get rejected off our premium zone, coming down and catching some support around this equilibrium price of around 68.3 to 68.859. And so we're trending down right now, right? Volume is decreased, but things are looking pretty good for BTC. Again, and I do want to share this. We did talk about short markets and bull markets. We did make some money. So got into a V-chain short, 8x short, cashed in 28% on that one. And then did the same for Theta, 8x on Theta short, cashed in 35% on that one as well. And so we do all of our trading on BingX, and they're giving away $300. So I definitely recommend you guys go set up an account. No strings attached. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for BTC. Before we move on to the big South Korea news, I want to give a big thank you to our channel sponsor, Decrypted.tax. Tax season is around the corner, my friends, and you want to make sure you get all your ducks in a row. Go to their website, click the link in the description, set up a free consultation. You might have to file an extension if you haven't filed your taxes yet. Ernest and his team will help you do all of that. So big thank you to them for sponsoring today's show. Okay, let's take a look at the big news coming out of South Korea. So Bitcoin-friendly South Korean opposition party has won their election. They are committed to allowing domestic investors to buy Bitcoin ETFs. Now, why is this important? So South Korea, although they're not the largest or even in the top 10 of global GDP, their economy is still worth $1.72 trillion. They're the 4th largest in Asia and the 13th largest in the world. And then South Korean party pledges access to U.S. Bitcoin ETFs in a race for votes. Now, will they? Will those promises come to fruition? We don't know, but we can only assume so. So right now, as of 2022, 3.9% of South Koreans own cryptocurrency. We know countries like South Korea, Japan, they're very technologically friendly, right? They're usually the first to adopt new technologies. They're very open-minded. And so typically we'll see something here in the US that's already been overseas for 10 years. So this is pretty bullish. What are your thoughts on that, Robin? Hong Kong, South Korea.
Interesting. So they haven't won election yet. They won
the election.
Okay. And is it the election for? I was just trying to.
I think it's parliament.
Parliament. Okay.
Which is
Giant-
kind of set up like the U.S. to where they make the rules and regulations, right?
The interesting part about South Korea is that they are very, very tech forward. So it feels like even if, here's the example. You take a European country and you say, hey, we're going to be a lot more crypto friendly, very progressive, we're going to adopt crypto laws. It's the population themselves isn't quite as technologies like forward as say South Korea. You go to South Korea, or I haven't been there, but from everything I've seen, it's very, very tech forward. You have robotics, lots of like really cool like downtown, and it just seems like a very internet and tech driven area. At least more so than say Europe or South America. And so if they become crypto friendly, crypto forward, incentivize the population to use crypto, I think it's going to be more positive than you would at some of the larger countries that might not have as much tech friendly population. I don't know. I feel like if you're in South Korea, you're probably more likely to use Bitcoin than if you are in, say, Spain. Just my kind of guesstimate there.
I agree with you, and like I said, there is no there's like Japan, South Korea. Again, these guys are typically ahead of the rest of the world, and so I was surprised to see that only 3.9% of South Koreans own crypto. I thought it was a lot higher. Now, this could, of course, be 3.9% of the entire population. Obviously, babies and toddlers can't buy crypto. Curious to see what the population of the adults, what percentage of that own crypto. I saw somewhere at 10%, but who knows?
But once crypto gets integrated into cell phones and wallets are native, you have Bitcoin native wallets that very easy and already like pre-programmed into like your smartphone, like your Samsung. I think that's kind of the barrier for entry, because how many people really go home and use their computers every day? I'm not saying that you don't, but how comparison to the amount of time that you're on your cell phone and how much activities you accomplish on your cell phone. I applied for a business loan today, completely on my cell phone today. And so,
Good.
yeah, so you can pretty much anything you do on a computer, you can do on your cell phone for the most part. And so, well, what you looking at me like?
Let's talk about this business loan.
We got some renovations we got to come up with. But what I'm saying is that once we see crypto integrated to cell phones, into the native wallets that are on the cell phones, like the Apple Pay or Apple Wallet, I think that is what's going to break down the barrier for entry, especially with the mass population.
You realize what you just did, Ashley's in the room, and now I'm going to have to hear her talk about how she wants a raise after the show.
I already asked, so.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, about that raise, or are we just?
We'll talk later. I do want to talk about this. Not a raise, but Ubisoft teases new blockchain game at Paris Blockchain Week. AAA game studio Ubisoft is edging closer to releasing its first blockchain-based game after releasing the first gameplay trailer for Champion Tactics Grimoria during the Paris Blockchain Week. The game certainly has the polish and feel of a Ubisoft title. What are some just like couple of big games that Ubisoft made? I know you're a bigger gamer than I am.
Call of Duty. I know that's.
I thought that was Rock. No, that's not.
There's 3 different studios that make Call of Duty. So because they come out every year, it takes 3 years to make a game.
Right.
So they have generally 3 studios, and so Ubisoft will come out with the game 1 year, and then then they'll build for the next 2 years, and then
cool.
Sledgehammer will come out with the next one. And then Treyarch will come out with the next one after that. And sometimes they work jointly.
I didn't know that. So kind of like the Super Intelligence Committee, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is if you want to come out with a game every year, it takes 3 years to make. How do you do that?
Right.
Right.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah. You have one studio do it 1 year, and
so Ubisoft's a giant, right? They're a big name in the space. This is a quote from the Ubisoft Strategic Innovation Lab Vice President, Nicolas Puard. said, we started development last year on the first real game on the blockchain. We felt it was ambitious to start with a AAA title, so we're testing the waters with Champions Tactics. And Robin, I do have a little gameplay trailer, so I'm curious to get your thoughts here.
Like a board game.
Kind of, right? First time I'm seeing it, so I think it's the first time Robin's seeing it. You're getting a live, kind of like Xene.
No, not. It looks like a board game, but it looks like a card game. Probably the fight mechanics are probably cards, random multiple cards format. Yeah.
So what are your initial thoughts here? I think we can agree the graphics are pretty good, right? For what it is, I mean, I don't think it's meant to be.
Some of these games are hit or miss. Sometimes they catch traction. No.
And this is not they partnered with. This is their game. They developed this from top to bottom.
And then I did look up some of their games that they have. They have Assassin's Creed.
Oh, that's right.
They also have Rainbow Six and The Division. Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of different games.
So they're a giant.
Oh yeah, I think they're probably the top 3 studio.
So are you bullish on this game? Are you going to play it?
Am I? Probably not. It's not my style.
By the way, someone said, Crypto King, it is called Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles. Interesting name. So you've heard of Mr. 100, right?
Yes. So the mysterious buyer of Bitcoin that is buying 100 Bitcoin, a minimum of 100 Bitcoin a day, and sometimes it's up to 1,000 Bitcoin. I think it was his highest buy, from my understanding.
Max Kaiser thinks he's figured out who it is. So first, Max Kaiser thought it was Qatar, but I tweeted this today. Just got some new intel. Abu Dhabi is now the top contender for being Mr. 100, which would make sense. You know, yesterday the U.S. Treasury had an absolutely abysmal auction of debt. Right, I believe the number went from 68 down to under 60% of the buyers being overseas, foreign nations, right? Foreign investors, which is not good. We talk about de-dollarization globally, people leaving the US dollar and US debt because, hey, they look at it as like, this is not sustainable. And so people are looking for, hey, well, where can we store our wealth? Where can we store money? We know gold has been rising. Dollar, which is the world reserve currency, we're kind of seeing a trend away from that. What is like the next best thing? We believe it is the best thing, but for these people, what is the next best thing? You look at a commodity that's got a hard cap and an asset that is backed by the world's largest and most decentralized computing network in the world. That is Bitcoin. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it is Abu Dhabi, if it is Qatar. And so at some point, guys, with all this buying and pressure, you're going to see the price of Bitcoin just absolutely explode. It's a simple law of supply and demand. It's not, you don't have to go take macro 302 classes in college in your 4th year or get a master's degree. It's very simple. If a lot of people want something that is scarce, the price is going to go up. Very, very simple. So I didn't mention we got a Chainlink upgrade. So Chainlink functions goes live on Coinbase Layer 2, enabling on-demand API access. The integration provides smart contract developers on Base with access to trust-minimized compute infrastructure, enabling them to fetch data from APIs and perform custom computations from a serverless environment. We also have this. This is transporter.io. So Chainlink just announced this today. And so here is just the bare bones of what this thing can do. So you go on this website, transporter.io, you connect your wallet, and then you can let's say you want to go from Arbitrum, Ethereum, Optimism, Polygon, Coinbase, Avalanche, right? So let's say I want to go from Base to Avalanche. I can send USDC, which is the only thing available right now. You want to send $500 in USDC on Base to USDC on Avalanche. You don't, and I'm telling you, yeah, I think it was a few days ago, I had USDT on Ethereum. I needed to swap to USDC and then send it to this exchange.
Have you tried
swap
using
it to
this?
Phantom? What's up?
Did you use?
I was going to create a wallet, but I didn't have time. But what essentially this thing does is it'll take the whatever the from is. So it'll take the coin, the base USDC. It'll run it through the CCIP protocol. It'll convert the gas fee to Chainlink, settle that as gas, so the validators on the Chainlink side can validate. And on the back end, from your Avalanche wallet, you'll get the USDC AVAX, right? The AVAX version of USDC. All in one place, one click. That's it. And that's the beauty of CCIP. And again, of course, it's not as interoperable, right? You pretty much have ETH and Avalanche, right? Polygon, Optimism, Ethereum, Base, Arbitrum, and then Avalanche. Obviously, you want to see Solana. You want to see Near. You want to see what are some of the other big layers?
And this is live on chain.
This is live on chain, 100% on chain. So pretty cool, man.
I think this is just going to be the norm, and I think now we talk about it like it's something that's cool. I think that at some point, like, hey man, guess what? I pulled up a website and I sent an email from my phone and I received it on my computer, or hey, from my work computer, and my work computer, which is this model computer, talked to my home computer, which is completely different. This one was an IBM, this one was Windows, traditionally wasn't compatible. Now it worked. I think the same thing's going to happen here. I think that all these barriers are going to come down. Interoperability will be so expected, not even like some luxury. I think it's just going to be expected that, hey, I want to move assets from Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, from Cardano, and I'm going to use some centralized hub, probably some app on my phone, which is connecting everything. And that app probably is going to run natively with whatever the native wallet is. So I do believe that probably within the next couple years, your phone, your Apple wallet, for example, I think that there you'll have your bank account, which you can move money to and from any crypto with minimal transaction fees. And I think it settles in real time, all done on blockchain behind the scenes. I think that's where we're going.
I agree. AWB said, so rally or pullback? I think Rob and I both said rally. We had that conversation at the very beginning of the show.
On pre-halving?
Pre-halving. Yeah. Leading up to that.
I do think we get to 80,000. I think 80,000 in the next, I know it's $10,000 away from where we're at now on the price of Bitcoin. I do think that there's going to be some euphoria. Maybe we scrape 80,000 and we pull back down, but I think that 80,000 is on the table for the next
guys.
Days.
Like a big move is coming. Like there's no, like I shared that symmetrical triangle with you on the 4 hour, right? With the Bollinger Band. Same thing on the daily, right? You have a rising wedge, higher highs, higher lows, with the exception of one here. And the Bollinger Bands on the daily are getting tight as well. And so just take a look at last time these bands got tight, right? This was back in February of this year, early February. And once we broke out, Bitcoin's price initially surged 25% from around $42,900 to $53,000. It consolidated sideways for a little bit and then had another rally of 36% up to like $67,000. So we're going to see the same thing. Now, of course, we don't have a magic 8-ball. We don't know if it's going to go up or is it going to go down, but we're all under the impression of this thing is going to go up because of everything we talked about over the last literally 45 minutes. So this is pretty big news here. BlackRock could open the door to U.S. regulated stablecoins. Circle, the issuer of USDC, announced on April 11th the launch of functionality that enables holders of BlackRock's institutional digital liquidity fund to transfer their shares to Circle in exchange for USDC. In other words, the functionality allows investors in the tokenized fund to convert their shares into stable coins 24 hours a day, thus enhancing shareholder liquidity. And I think this plays perfectly into Robin's thesis of banks having stable coins. Imagine, Robin, imagine Saturday, Sunday, when the markets are closed. You're over here on BlackRock's institutional, whatever it's called, digital liquidity fund, and you're able to buy, sell, trade in a stable coin, and that stable coin is directly sent to or custodied by your bank. And you can use that to spend it, or it's attached to a card, or it's a whole separate, who knows what that looks like? What do you think?
It's pretty big, man.
I know.
So BlackRock's letting you buy stable coins. That's essentially what it is, right? Yeah. You can now
BlackRock is letting you sell their shares into the stable coin.
Interesting, because then what are you going to do with the stable coins, right? What are you going to do with the stable coins? You're going to use it in a blockchain ecosystem, right? That's where you spend them.
It's going to stay in the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah, and who's going to be the facilitator of that ecosystem? Who's going to build the rails? Would a crypto exchange let you buy stablecoin and that's it? No. They offer what? Other cryptos. Or in the case for Coinbase, they also offer a native chain, a base chain. Go play around in DeFi, right? And you can also stake internationally on Coinbase. And so I'll be very curious to see what else rolls out, because this can't be it, right? They can't just offer, hey, you can sell your stock, get some stablecoin, and that's it, right?
Move it in here. Or
Yeah.
here's another.
So there's more coming. So is BlackRock going to be the Walmart of crypto? The one-stop shop? Come in, get an ETF, come in, get some stablecoin. Hey, guess what? Tokenized assets. Oh, hey, by the way, we also partner with this chain here. Go buy some stuff.
Yeah, we got Naka Masala over here.
You stop.
Stable meme coin.
I did want to, I know we were discussing the price of Bitcoin coming to the halving. I want to know, what does the chat think here? Chat's been a little quiet. So I ask you, the viewer, pick up your cell phone, open up that keyboard, or if you're on a
Open up the
computer,
keyboard, huh?
yeah, you got to hit the up button and pull the keyboard up. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that Bitcoin will hit $80,000 before the halving at some point in the next 8.5 days. Will Bitcoin scrape, touch, cross, bump, sniff
Tongue.
$80,000? Put a 1 in the chat. If you think, no, that ain't going to happen, $10,000, that's quite a ways away, and we're only 8 days away. It's just about a week. $10,000 move in a week. Quite significant. I don't think that's going to happen. Put a 2 in the chat. I want to know what you guys think.
So you're a 1?
I am a 1. I do think. You think we're going to hit? You think we're going to hit $80,000
in 8 days? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Ashley put a 6.
You know what?
You
You know what,
I
Robin?
didn't listen. I have no idea what you said.
We are going to put our money where our mouth is.
Money where your mouth is.
We're putting our mouths are here.
Trade?
Anyone got a dollar bill?
Is that where your mouth is?
Someone got a dollar bill? I'm going to put money in there.
I thought your mouth was down.
What?
What?
Because you're always talking out of that thing.
All right. $100 into BT. Is this BTC, by the way? Let's take a look. Yes, BTC. Okay. $100 into BTC. See what a 10x long is. 10x long liquidation. 63. No. 62. 1. 61. This looks really good. Okay. We'll do that, and we'll do a take profit we'll do 100% take profit. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to go in there and manually do it. All right, so $100, Bitcoin, 80K, that's when we're going to cash out. Here we go. We're in. We put our money where our mouth is here at Sin City Crypto, and if we had actual money, you'd be seeing that go into my mouth, but we don't know. Everyone's broken here because we just spend all the money we bring in. So big shout out to the
Hey,
sponsors
speak for
that give us.
yourself.
Wait, what?
Speak for yourself.
What do you mean?
You said everybody's broken.
Oh, You can't even afford a $3 a month channel membership.
I just don't want to pay for it.
Oh, there it is. So don't sit here and play the victim, Ashley, and say, oh, yeah, I need a raise to pay $3 for my own freaking emoji we gave you. God.
You're not being too nice right now.
Didn't Jimmy gift you a membership?
Yeah, but it's going to expire in a few days, so I'm going to need a new one.
Jimmy. There you go.
Ashley, what did you do this morning? Says Ashley's dad. Well, I was asking the Sin City community for a free membership for a month. Guys, that'll do it for the show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to have your notification on. Our Uniswap video will be dropping, covering everything that's happening with the SEC and Uniswap. You're going to want to watch the video. Very important information in there. So that'll go public, or that'll go to the channel members first. So you'll get the alpha before anyone else does, and then it'll go public shortly after. Also, make sure to come back tomorrow. It's going to be Forest Friday. See what kind of degeneracy he's gotten into over the last week. It's the last time we saw him.
And then big shout out to some of the new people. We got AWB, Julio, Tim, AI Griff, also Just Jim, Fusa, Balitia, and Ade Alamola. Jesus, I butchered that one. But either way, to all of you, hola! Welcome!
That was a weak hola. All right, with that being said, Rocco. This is in honor of that Salada Bean Coin. Special Mumbai tornado. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure to be here with you. We love you guys. Until tomorrow.
Crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.